it is Jazz here, and today I'm doing my monthly recommendations video. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group that was started by Kayla at Kayla Rain and Trina at Between Chapters, and I've left the link in the description to the group if you want to check it out. Every month they give you a topic and you have to recommend books within that theme. For the month of September, we are recommending science fiction books. I tried to think of books that were not only ones that I really enjoyed, but were also books that I don't hear talked about on BookTube very often, or maybe are kind of underrated books. Be warned, a lot of these books are uncompleted series books, so sometimes I can't always speak for the whole entire series because I'm terrible at completing series, people. Yeah, I'm working on it, but you know, it happens. Anyway, on with the show! The first book that I'm going to recommend to you guys to check out is a classic novel, and it is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. A lot of you probably know what this one's about, but I'll summarize it anyway. It's about a doctor named Dr. Jekyll, and he's trying to basically separate the negative parts of his personality away from his body. So he drinks this potion, and it actually does kind of have an effect in which he becomes two people. He becomes himself, Dr. Jekyll, and he also becomes this other creepy dude called Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Hyde wreaks a lot of havoc and insanity. I've always really seriously enjoyed the story. It's very short, you can sit and read it in one setting. I really like how it's written and just also how it explores that different sides of self kind of thing in a sciencey type way. Next book is also a classic science fiction novel, and it is Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is a story about a man named John Carter who, through a series of events, kind of ends up mind traveling, I guess, if you will, to Mars. Of course, there is life on Mars, and he kind of gets involved in a lot of the adventure and drama of things that are going on that planet. Also, he has to win the heart of Dejah Thoris, the Princess of Mars. I think I did that summary okay. This is the first book in the Barsoom series. Now, I can't speak for the entire series because I have not yet completed the entire series, and it might take a whole lifetime to actually complete this series because it is pretty long. But I do intend to read more books in the series for sure because I highly enjoyed reading Princess of Mars. It's just really full of action, and I really like the main character in it. I listened to this on audiobook, and it was just a really wacky fun thing to listen to on audiobook. There is also a movie called John Carter of Mars that is based on this book, which is a very underrated movie that I think everybody should check out, or at least I liked it. So book and movie, check those out. Next, we have a set of books that I recommend almost all the time, and it is the Wrinkle in Time series. So the first book in the Wrinkle in Time series starts with a girl named Meg Murray. Meg is dealing with a lot of drama in her life. She's already kind of a misfit. Her brother gets bullied, and so she gets in a lot of fights trying to defend her brother, and her father is missing. So there are a lot of things going on with her life, and through a series of events, she ends up kind of going on a mission to find her father with the help of Mrs. Witch, Mrs. What's-It, and Mrs. Who are sort of kind of interesting beings. There's definitely a lot of time-space travel and craziness that ensues throughout the whole series. I just really like how really out there and yet not out there this book can really get at the same time, which is probably why I just love it so much, other than the fact that I really like just reading about the Murray family because they're just a great group of characters. What is kind of cool about the A Wrinkle in Time is that it kind of mixes science fiction, fantasy, and a little bit of allegory in there all in one shebang. So you're getting like a 3-for-1 kind of feeling when you read these books. Definitely, if you haven't read them, like, get on the reading train of reading A Wrinkle in Time. I've been trying to read more Ray Bradbury because I did highly in middle school enjoy reading his book Fahrenheit 451, and so ever since then, I wanted to read more of him. I finally got to it last month and read The Illustrated Man. And this book is a collection of short stories that are all science fiction geared, and they are all centered around a prologue and epilogue in which this man meets a man covered in futuristic tattoos, and they were done by sort of a mysterious woman who could predict the future. So what happens is the tattoos move and tell stories, and the short stories are the stories that are told by his tattoos. If you're into science fiction and you're into short stories, you definitely need to check The Illustrated Man out. What I really like about The Illustrated Man is not only are these stories futuristic and science fiction, but they also do kind of make you think about different cultural elements that are still going on in real life and what the author kind of envisions the future would be like through these different cultural things that have always continued throughout time. So I just really think that is a cool way that Ray Bradbury approached the stories, because then there's always sort of a lesson or a thought-provoking thought you can have from each of the stories. I'm going to go ahead and recommend Firestarter by Stephen King. The story of this book starts out with a man and a woman who are part of a top-secret drug trial in which they are injected with a drug that sort of makes them develop some latent psychic abilities. These two people meet and get married, and they produce a child, and this child's name is Charlie. They soon find out that Charlie, because of these experiments, has some gifts of her own, and she has pyrokinesis, aka the ability to light fires with her mind. And then basically Charlie and her father are on the run because there is, of course, a secret government facility that is totally after them, and insanity ensues. This is definitely one of my favorite Stephen King novels. I really like how it really explores like the mind and different psychology things, as well as different elements of genetics, and also how it really explores the relationship between a father and a daughter. I think if you're wanting to start Stephen King but you're not really into horror novels, you might want to check this one out because it is super good. Next I have The Dangerous Days of Daniel X, which was written by James Patterson and Michael Ludwig. This is a book about an alien boy named Daniel X. I believe he is 15 years old when this story begins, and his parents were murdered by an evil alien, and thus he is trying to hunt this evil alien down with the use of his super cool alien powers. Yet again, I cannot speak for the rest of the books in the Daniel X series because I have not read them yet, but I still wanted to recommend this first book because I feel like it's kind of underrated. And I don't know if it's maybe because of the way that maybe people take the tone of the novel. I thought the tone of the novel was really great. I thought it was really funny. There's such great sarcasm in it. Daniel has a really cool personality that I liked reading, and it also kind of has an element where they're kind of parodying or kind of making reference to other YA or children's literature. I guess it just like worked for my brain. I thought it was a great fun adventure read, and I'm definitely open to reading more of the books because I think it would be super fun. Next we have a book that I lost the dust jacket to, but I still wanted to recommend it, and it's Fear Nothing by Dean Koontz. Fear Nothing is about a young man named Chris, and he has a disease that makes him allergic to sunlight and other harsh light, which is actually a real disease that I cannot pronounce and I won't attempt it, but it starts with an X, so we're gonna call it Disease X. His mother, who was a scientist, tried to basically develop a cure for this disease, and while she was developing this cure, other people latched on to her trying to do this, and they wanted to use it for their own gain. So she was subsequently mysteriously killed, and also Chris's father dies in sort of a mysterious way, and so he's trying to figure out basically what's going on, and there's a lot of extra additional issues obviously because he cannot go into sunlight, so, or any kind of light in general that's like more than candlelight. Yeah, things get kind of crazy. Now, I will admit that at first this book was kind of hard for me to get into, but once I got into it, it got really, really super fun and good. And so I definitely would suggest checking it out because it's definitely a different kind of storyline. Next, we got a comic book, and it's a rather popular one, and it is Watchmen, which was written by Alan Moore and drawn by Dave Gibbons. This is a complex story, but the basic idea of it is that a group of people have decided that they are going to be superheroes. And when I say superheroes, I say it kind of loosely because some of them are not all that heroic. But the book is kind of exploring the idea that you have to kind of be a little nuts to put on like a crazy costume and go out and fight various types of crime and things that you disagree with. So these characters are definitely that sort of type. If you're an adult and you're going to pick up one graphic novel or comic, you should probably give Watchmen a go. But notice how I say adult in there, because there are definitely some adult themes in this story. But there is also a lot of science fiction and like alien stuff and planet travel, and I don't even know if I remember everything that's in here, but yeah. Sci-fi, for sure. Lastly, we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This book is about body snatching aliens, if you will. In this case, they have come to Earth, taken over most of the humans, and there are some remaining humans that have gone into hiding to kind of avoid the situation. The book is about a girl named Melanie who starts out obviously as human, and in an attempt to protect her little brother, she gets captured by the aliens, and thus they insert an alien inside her mind. But because Melanie is so strong in mental spirit, she kind of revolts against this thing in her mind, which is called Wanderer. Her and Wanderer become kind of merged in a very odd way, and thus both characters within the same body go and try to find the humans that are in hiding so that they can find Melanie's brother. Even though I highly enjoy the Twilight series, I think I love this a little bit more. It's an interesting thought on how people and I guess aliens view differences between other beings or people, and I think that's an interesting thought. And also I think it's really cool how this one body shares two minds and how different conflicts arise from that, including a love square. There is a love square, and you know I love a love square, because not so much for the triangles, but a love square, I'm just a sucker for that. And for some reason this book is one of the few that continues to make me cry. I'm gonna read this the third time and see if it makes me cry again. I don't know why it makes me cry. It's not really all that sad, but tears sometimes. I guess I just really like the characters, okay? Those were my science fiction recommendations. I hope that you found this interesting and check out some of these books. I'm sorry that I haven't completed a lot of the series, so I can't speak for all the books in the series. But if you guys check out some of these first books in series, maybe we can all read the subsequent books together and be like better series readers together. That was it for today, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye!